Going through a divorce is tough. It's tough if the relationship has spanned maybe 1 to 3 years. It's tough whether the relationship has spanned maybe 3 to 30 years. Separation and ultimate marriage failure is hard, and it affects people in different ways. But what I want to do for the purposes of this video is to help people successfully navigate through the hardships of divorce and understand the benefits of mutual respect. Now, this is something that I understand, and I've been through this before, but I want to tell you from a real world perspective on how to get this done. So let's get started. Okay, step number 1. This is hard. You two are going to have to develop a truce. Now, especially when marriages break up, relationships, period, when they are torn apart, there is a lot of pain, emotion, hurt, anger, bitterness, because let's just face it, the trust and the bond has been broken. And people are upset because maybe they've invested more into the relationship than the other person, or maybe they just wanted the other person more and the person maybe did not give that back. And then you got some folks who just don't care anymore. The lives are changed, they've changed, and they just want out of the relationship. Well, that can leave a lot of bad blood to some folks, and unfortunately, it can also bring in the extended family members and the friends who want to come to the defense of their particular party. Now, all of this stuff makes it worse. And the reason why I say you have to come to a truce is because it's going to benefit both of you. Now, if you don't believe me, there are some couples who go to war all the time, and the only victors in the divorce are the attorneys on both sides. Because trust me, these attorneys do not work pro bono. They work for a living so they can take care of their own families. And every second that they speak to you on the phone is money. Every word they type in your behalf in an email or response to an email is money. Every time they come to see you, to counsel you, especially in those emergency last-minute moments when the other person then did something and you need your attorney to change this to protect that, oh, yeah, it's money. And the longer you two are in conflict, the more those attorney bills are going to start stacking up to the point that it doesn't matter who wins, you both lose. And the attorneys are counting that money. Now, there are some instances in some divorces where attorneys are very, very much necessary. But if you can come to a truce where you do not need attorneys, it's not only going to benefit you both financially, but it's also going to eliminate a whole lot of extra anxiety and stress and just long-term suffering, more suffering, because you already suffered in the marriage. It's over. It has run its course. Now it's time to stop fighting and develop a solid plan of action to move forward in the most peaceful and amicable way. You have to first come to a truce. Now, after both of you have declared a ceasefire, now we can get on with the business of actually taking care of the divorce. You got to have a solid co-parenting plan, especially in the instance of having children that are under 18 years old. Now, in order to have a solid co-parenting plan, you got to first be able to have a distinguished program that's authorized through the courts. Now, one in particular is by a good friend of mine named Dr. Guy Jordan. He's pretty good. He's in Gainesville, Georgia, and he has a co-parenting resolution program. It's not that expensive, but it's pretty much 5 solid hours on how to help you get through this co-parenting plan. Now, the main meat of the co-parenting plan is where the kids gonna live? Who are gonna have the children? Now, you have to understand, to have the co-parenting plan to work, both parents have to put the interest of the child or children ahead of their own personal interest. Now, I know this can be very, very hard, especially when you're still dealing with some pain and you're still dealing with some hurt, and I want to get him or I want to get her, but you have to look at what's best in the interest of the child. Now, this requires some emotional stability and a mature frame of reference, because dealing with pain and hurt, especially if you've been involved in a committed relationship for a very long time, and if you've invested in this other person and this other person has not returned that investment back to you, you're gonna have some problems. There are gonna be some issues. But you have to put the best interest of the child ahead of your own. That includes not denigrating the other parent, no matter what they've done to you. Now, in instances where there is child abuse or domestic violence, of course, you need to seek safety for yourself and the child first. Any judge in court will recommend that. Any counselor will recommend that. But in cases where it's not domestic violence or child abuse, where it's just you two been beating each other up verbally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, and it has nothing to do with the child, but the child is thrown in the middle of your war before the truce happens, you got to bring it to a cease, and you got to look at the best interest for the baby. Now, if you maybe live closer to the school, or the other parent lives closer to the school, what's in the best interest for that child? Not of, I can get him to pay this money, or I can get her to pay this money. It's about, how can we best serve the interest of the child? Now, you wonder why I keep saying that, and I keep banging this in your heads and just drumming it in. It's because one of the main antitheses of divorce is child custody and child support. The parent with the possession of the child who is receiving the child support has the dominant power going forward until that child is either 18, married, or reached the age of majority, or gone to college. There's a lot of stipulations in that, but they hold that power of the purse over the head of the other parent and beat them into submission and say, well, you're not going to see this baby unless you pay child support. You're not going to see the baby unless you give me everything I want. I don't care what the court say. I'll hold your feet to the fire. I will do this. I will do this. And by the way, Junior or Susie, your dad's a jerk. His parents are jerks. Or your mom is this, and her parents are this, and her friends are this. Trust me, this type of manipulation of children going through divorce is wrong on both sides. I don't care if you're the mom, I don't care if you're the dad. It is wrong. And trust me, I have lived through this. If you are the parent that is demonizing the other parent, constantly throwing them under the bus, regardless of what they've done, that child loves the parent. If you're the parent trying to turn that child against them or use that child as a chess piece to get more money of what you want, trust me, as the child gets older and starts to see who the aggressor was and see that this other parent, mom or dad, was steadily trying to be in their life, but you kept blocking and your family kept blocking and your friends kept blocking, that child is going to love you, but will eventually push you away and run quickly to the other parent. I went through this. I had to fight for my rights as a father when I got divorced from my first wife. Now, we are on great terms now. Me and her family, we all get along fine, but At that time, when we were going through this misery, it was tough. But as the children grew older, and I continued to want to be a part of their life and always there, the children saw it and they started ignoring the noise that was coming from these extended family members and saying, my father loves me and I'm going to be with him. And it hurt their feelings because they loved the children, but what they were doing pushed my kids away from them and brought them back to me. I ain't complaining. That's what happened. But we're all pretty much on one accord now, but we went through hell. So in order to keep from going through that, put the interest of the child first and foremost. Push aside the rhetoric and the noise from your family members and your friends and everybody else that has an opinion. It's none of their business. You and your former spouse get it done by creating a sizable plan that will benefit the child and not you. Now, another thing you have to do to get through a painful divorce is you have to understand the difference between expectation and respect. Now, when you were married, there was a certain expectation that he or she would bend over backwards and give you their last. That he or she will do whatever it took to make sure you had what you need or wanted. It's not always healthy, but a lot of relationships go through that, and it flip-flops between the people. But when you're getting divorced, there should never be an expectation that your former spouse is going to go above and beyond for you. Instead, you need to see it as a healthy respect for the other person when you are requesting things. Because they're no longer your spouse, and they got a right to tell you no. No, I don't like that. No, I don't want to do that. No, I'm not really feeling that right now, and I don't agree with that. So one pitfall that a lot of folks have, especially with the expectation, they're thinking, well, this person still loves me, and they owe me because he cheated on me. Or she owed me because she took all my money. They owe me, they owe me, they owe me. Once you are divorced, they owe you nothing. It is done. It is over. The emotional debts that were owed in the marriage have been wiped clean. This person no longer has to answer to you or answer for their indiscretions. Now, it's not always fair, but that's the way it is. And that's one of the hardest parts on why you need to have that truce, and you need to focus on co-parenting to put in the child first. And once you have those two together, then you can complete number 3 of understanding the clear difference between expectation and mutual respect. Okay, we're almost done. Now that you have your truce and you have your successful co-parenting plan and you understand the difference between expectation and mutual respect, now it's time for cooperation. Now, you can't get to cooperation without going through 1, 2, and 3 first. This is a process. Just like falling in love, what's a process? Unless you met on a one-night stand and y'all just did what you did and you're like, ooh, I like this. It's a process, okay? Some people actually have successful relationships with one-night stands, but hey, I'm not gonna go there. But I'm just saying, it's a process. So now you got to step 4 of cooperation. And when I term cooperation, that's not meaning that you beat the other person over the head and say, I want you to do whatever I tell you to do. If you're doing that, you obviously missed the points of 1, 2, and 3. Cooperation comes from that foundation of the mutual respect and looking out for the best interest of the child using the co-parenting plan. Get it? You see how this stuff just rolls together. Now, cooperation is about, okay, let's say Johnny wants to play football, and football may be outside of the child support relegations. But Johnny really wants to do this and he's good. So mom and dad get together and they say, well, it's for the best interest of the child. We're going to get together a financial plan to make sure that Johnny can play football, because it may be outside of the parameters or the limitations of child support, but the baby want to play. And he may be very, very good and he has an opportunity. So the cooperation comes from mom and dad having that truce, for one. Two, being able to have that co-parenting plan, understanding the difference between expectation and mutual respect, are able to now cooperate to not only have Johnny playing football, but to also both be in the stands rooting Johnny on as he scores those touchdowns, or rooting Jill on as she conquers her science projects. As these children do anything, as they gravitate and they grow into whom they're becoming and become successful, both parents are there because they can cooperate on the benefits of the baby. This is very, very important, because there was many, many times that my ex-wife and I, we cooperated to be involved in our children's lives in extracurricular activities. Her family would come, my family would come, and we all had a good time because we had to go through that process. And so our children were able to benefit by seeing all of this support. Mom, dad, everybody's there for me. Even if they suck, we're all there like, yeah, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. You go get him. Oh, this boy sucks. He ain't gonna get no scholarship. He needs to study. But I'm just saying, we were there to give that support through cooperation. All right, you made it. The last step. After you develop your truce, after you have your co-parenting plan, after you understand the difference between expectation and mutual respect, and after you have the cooperation, number 5 is consistency. Repeat steps 1 through 4. This is a process that you're going to have to do. Now, this is going to be challenging, especially when your ex-spouse starts dating other people. Whew. Some feelings may come up when you see him or her with this other him or her. You might have some things going on that you need to work out, but if you focus on the consistency, you're going to be able to put yourself in check more than you lose control and you screw everything up and then you're landing back in court, or you may be in jail and there's some problems that's unnecessary that you got to deal with, and drama, and now you done ticked off the children, and oh, you are just like what mama said, you just like what daddy said and grandma said, and I don't want to ever see you again. And here we go. Unnecessary problems and drama because you could not stay consistent. Remember, it's for the benefit of the child, not your ego or your hurt feelings. Step away, deal with yourself, come back and say, this is for the baby. Once I leave here, I'm gonna cuss this person out in my car without calling them. And if I gotta roll the window down and just shout at a stop sign, I'm gonna do it. But you're not going to make the situation worse for yourself. Now, it will also help if the former spouse at least lets you know that, hey, you know, it's none of your business, but I've been dating someone and it's very serious, and I would like to talk to you about including this new person in the life of our child. You have, you know, authority to say, I need to know who you're having around our child. And I need to let you know if I'm going to be having somebody new around our child. I would suggest that while you're dating, you not introduce them to your child at least 30 to 90 days. Okay, because you need to make sure, you kind of see who this person is, because people are dangerous and they're manipulative and they hurt babies. And the primary goal of all parents, moms and dads, are to protect their children from all hurt, harm, and danger. So even if you fell in love with this person, hold on, grow and mature your relationship, and see if this person will be an invaluable asset in addition to bringing your child in. But consistency, it all goes back to the 4 rules. Now, if you're wondering why I chose to do this video, it's because I told you I have gone through divorce before. And unfortunately, I'm going through it again. Now, my wife and I have been together for 17 and a half years. And we have successfully raised 6 children who are adults now, and 1 child who will be 17 pretty soon. And when we got together, let's just say it, we weren't compatible. We knew we weren't compatible, but we were young and we loved each other. And we both were coming from previous marriages that did not work. She brought in 3 children, I brought in 3 children, and we had our baby together, and we were, the Black Brady Bunch. And things weren't perfect, but we found ways to make things work in spite of our clashing personalities, our clashing worldviews, our clashing ways of resolving conflict and problems. We both came from very broken homes, but we both also wanted to create something better for our 7 children and give them something that we never had. We never had an intact family and a strong household with both mom and dad in it, leading, supporting, loving, and nurturing children. We grew up without it, and we wanted something better for our babies. And I will tell you, for 17 and a half years, we gave that to them. And for 6 of them, like I said, 6 are adults now, they were able to have that. And for our child that was born from us, our union, she was able to have that for mostly all of her adulthood, because she'll be 17 this year. And we are both very, very proud of that accomplishment. We're both proud of the lessons that we have taught our children. But the most important thing we've taught our children is that, things sometimes don't work. Sometimes you don't get along with people. Sometimes folks are not compatible, and sometimes people are just in your life for a season. Even though we both believe in the sanctity of marriage, and when I married her, I meant for the rest of my life. She married me, she meant for the rest of our lives. And the crazy thing is, we got married in the year 2000 and got divorced, within 6 months, and then we couldn't live without each other, got married again, and now 17 and a half years later, we're here divorcing again. But I will tell you, this has been the most peaceful divorce. Yes, we have had our moments where we had to check ourselves and go through the processes of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But the processes have helped me and her, and it has helped our children. And as our adult children learn from this process and see how to deal with conflict, and hopefully they don't have to go through a divorce later on, where they learn from our mistakes, it's also showing our child how much mutual respect we have for each other for her benefit, because her and I are putting our child first. That's what's the most important. Not our hurt feelings or our ego. It's about the baby. And we want her happy. We want her successful. We want her stable, and we want her strong. And our co-parenting skills are going to continue to support her and lift her up as we continue to love our adult kids, who really don't call unless they need money, but I digress. We love them. So for anybody that's going through this hurtful time in their lives, know that your life is not over and you don't suck. You probably made some bad choices that hurt the marriage, but it's never all just one person's fault. There's much blame that can go on both sides. There's reasons why people do things, not excuses, but reasons. But I want you to continue to love your children, show that mutual respect for your former spouse, and love yourself enough to go through the process to bounce back. And know that God has you. So this is not a spiritual video. And God will want us all to be married and have long, successful marriages. But all marriages are not successful. But every marriage hurts. And some people are better on getting through the issues than others. And some people are just better hiding it than others. But you are valuable to Him. And the only thing you can do is learn from your mistakes, move forward, and do better next time. So, on behalf of all of my 7 children and my ex-wife, Toby, we love you guys. We thank you for all the support that you have given the Nyghtstorm family. And just God bless you. And always, always move forward.